stop the lo-fi radio, even though it's great ambiance to the background. Thank you, whoever was able to do that for us. I will give it a couple more minutes, maybe a minute for everyone else to join. As y'all know, I like to talk, so I'm sure there's a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover in this one today. Everyone can hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Thank you so much, Tyler, and everyone else who responded. Okay, so like I said, I'll give it another minute or so. Everyone who hadn't had a chance, slide deck is in the stage chat if y'all want to follow along on your own devices. I know on mobile it might be a little bit harder. Apologize for that if that's the case. Also, I presented a link in there to the proposal itself for anyone who hadn't had a chance to take a quick look at it or would like to after the call. Obviously today, everyone who may not know, this is going to be a discussion in regards to a proposal that I put together that is tentatively named the unification proposal at this point, but I know that there has been some discussion that it might be confusing because of globalization and unification work stream that is already passed. And being that it is passed, I would not want to interfere with any confusion or anything like that on something that's already in the community and operational. This is just being proposed at this point, so I would not be put out of place if I change the name. I have some suggestions I will share at the end of the call for anyone who cares to comment on that. All right, I guess any stragglers that come in will have to catch up at a later time. I'm sure the audio is being recorded, so we can get started. So let me just go ahead and thank everyone who has been able to join for being here. And for anyone who was not able to attend, obviously the recording will be made available. And also I will make myself available for any of those people who would like to speak outside of this context, whether it's one-on-one or in a channel or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. As everyone may be able to see, after the first slide is the meeting outline. So please familiar yourself with a little quick outline if you like. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with the intro of why am I here and a personal perspective. So here we go. So what I can envision of a truly new and innovative decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO, is that it can revolutionize the way business is done. And this may be a little bit more challenging than the norm. So I get if this is out of people's comfort zone and not what they're joining for. Quick analogy, in building, prefab is easier and faster when you believe you have all the pieces built and just need helpers to match up the dots. And if you may need to put in some upgrades or adjustments along the way, that's kind of the way prefab works. Building from scratch requires additional planners, new specifications, and to be developed from an idea or desire to create. You might have some great and hard to get fixtures that you have sourced and need to spec accordingly. You may also have budgeted and paid previously for specialized tradespeople to help to bring it all together. This obviously takes more time and effort and uses raw resources and the ability to build something not already designed and made somewhere else and put into place. I may have just been focusing on the wrong plans in my ideas that I put forth, and could be out of sync with what others are building off of. So I've always been a builder and pushed to see what can be done and look to create things that others would want to prefab if they could. I heard and saw this common interest and openly shared beginning thoughts and conversations on how we could build something that would truly inspire. That is all. Offense was not directed intentionally in the proposal or on this call, will it be? So I hope that everyone keeps in mind constructive conversation. No one is being pointed out or anything of that nature. So next would be a DAO like no other. So without the support of the controlling minority party of the DAO, no vote can be passed. This is fine once it's understood who that is and why it is. The design, as is in fact with most tokenized DAOs, are established and controlled by a small core or centralized group of individuals. This unit rarely changes in membership and directs the actions of the DAO while working to ensure that this power structure continues under the many given rationale and premises that it works the best. This is fine, but also one of the primary reasons I can see for a lack and waning of continued outside engagement and a DAO's ability to adapt and evolve as a DAO. If the true intention is to decentralize, the governance process has to be acknowledged and addressed. Um, so I know that we are taking strides for this in this DAO, obviously, but this is something I definitely want everyone to keep in mind. Um, and there is a small core group of people that do have overwhelming control of the DAO at this point. Hopefully, over time, that levels out and is able to diversify. I know that was some of the intent with the drops and so forth, but we can talk about this more later on if people choose. This almost always how this gets addressed is this almost always isn't the case because most DAOs see decentralizing other aspects of the business as sufficient and acceptable as to meet the terms and definition of decentralization or decentralized. In this unique and particular situation, the idea that an established history, catalog of services, and product base will allow it to sufficiently start a big influx of interest in those resources and provide a strong platform for the DAO to evolve around and continue that momentum. Where others start from less IP and established resource, ShapeShift is taking a different approach altogether. With this different approach, it has additional benefits when attracting the majority of monetary seeking investors. So, as stated, this is fine, and I can envision personally this as a primary use case for this DAO's purpose. Will this be sustainable? Time can only tell. But if the intent exists for different stated purposes and goals, which I have heard throughout my time here spent within this DAO, for example, some of them, you want to be a beacon of what can be a revolutionary new way of decentralized organizational structure, a powerful tool of innovation and continued adaptability, a platform beyond the constraints of control and free of targeted regulation. Then taking the difficult additional steps to acknowledge, address, and actively maintain will be a necessity. This is basically the point of my proposal, and basically I think I've brought this up on a regular basis, probably to the dismay of some within the DAO community. I don't make this statement lightly, and I'm not passing any form of judgment. This is an observation, and to that effect, I am willing to go beyond just pointing this out and offer to work together to discover and build pathways to common determined goals. So that is my take on a DAO like no other. And now I'll move to the next slide, which is what can the DAO mean for you? So I have a few reflective questions for everyone to answer to themselves. This works with brutal honesty best, So take a moment and answer these questions in your own minds if you choose to. First question, what do you want of your participation in the ShapeShift DAO? While people are thinking of this to themselves, I will just put out a few things that could be a possibility. I'm pretty sure that this will differ with almost each and every one of you, so I'll list a few generalizations to help illustrate these possibilities and assumptions of purpose. Monetary. This is a large driving force in anything that has to do with crypto, compounded that if it is also an income source and directly correlated to a primary or only income source. This has great importance how you approach your interaction with the DAO, obviously. Build something new. This can come in varying degrees and can blend with other purpose, as most of these will. A sense of accomplishment. Continue what you and or cohorts have worked over an extended period of time to accomplish, wanting to see something reach a personalized conclusion or fruition. Be crypto leaders, trailblazers. Desire to be first in trying something new, leading the masses, willing to make missteps along the way. Reshape the face of crypto. Your vision to bring a new concept, business model, or exertion of control on where crypto can and will go. Reshape the way of doing business. Your vision of bringing new concept, business model, or exertion of control on how business can evolve and adapt. That would be the first question, if you guys would answer to yourself. Second question, which is very similar. Why are you here within the ShapeShift DAO? This obviously might just run parallel to your previous answer or a mixture of additional reasons like the first. And moving along, right along. The third question, what is the incentive to participate in the DAO? So these are obviously very far-reaching and broad questions to some extent, and can have many different blending of ideas, and perspectives. So how do you bring all this together? Through organization, which is why we're here. So here's something that I've been playing in my own mind with. Embrace your limitless. I see this as like a credo for the DAO, and individuals in the community could choose to reach for the mutual ability to share and provide additional resource, capability, and capacity. So embrace your limitless. And I will go to the next one, which is let's help each other. And I'll just make a statement from my many, many years in the work world that I've learned to understand and took a great liking to is if you're secure in your ability and value add, uplifting others isn't a problem. Something I truly believe in. That's why I choose to try to mentor in most occasions if I can, not to tell someone what to do, but to just help uplift others and give the opportunity where I was given in the past. So that was just a couple statements there. I have another round of questions for the community, but this time though, I want to do a little something different. I will allow you guys to, and I think on the slides, I even listed the questions possibly there for you guys if you took a look at that in the notes. Allow some time, little time for thought, and select a few people to hear their responses. If anyone is shy, doesn't want to respond, I respect that, and I definitely won't. I'll move to someone else if that's the case, but I just do want to try to get a little input from people here on the call. So everyone else, if you want, you can post in the stage chat as well and upvote responses if you like. Which means let me take a quick second to take a look at the stage chat. Sorry. See if there's anything in there I'm missing. Okay. So you guys can see here the questions. First one is, what possible high-level concerns can you see affecting the DAO moving forward? Obviously, there are a lot of these possibilities. So these may be varying to a great extent from people on the call. But and then the second part of that question, which I don't know if anyone will directly have an answer here, and I don't really expect them to, but at the same time, if you can think of it in your own minds, what can you offer to help mitigate and possibly help to resolve or solve these issues? So I'm gonna let you guys think of that for a couple seconds, and also give anyone else who wants to some time to go get before I begin this next section. Um, they can go get your pitchforks and rotten vegetables and fruit, because I'm sure some may want to sling some stuff at me very shortly. If that's the case, I don't have a problem. So let me see. Let me pick. And does anyone want to volunteer from maybe the Genesis crew to answer that first question? Um, Willie, or actually John, I would uh, I would like to invite you up to stage if you would be willing to speak on this. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts.
Let's see if John can get up here. I'm up here, happy to speak too, but also just
Yeah,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
clarify, there was a question in the stage chat too. Which slide are we on, and you mentioned a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
Which question specifically are you asking right now?
Yep. So I'm sorry, I'll repeat the questions. The slide that we were on was what can the Dow mean for you, and let's help each other. And then the question that I was just asking was what possible high level concerns can you see affecting the Dow moving forward? And a little short follow up to that was what can you offer to help mitigate and possibly help to resolve or solve these issues?
Okay, so it's different than the questions that are on that slide.
Oops, did I miss that? Hold on one second. Let me make sure. So if you scroll down to what can a DAO mean for you, I believe right below it has those two questions listed.
The speaker notes, Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Cool. Yeah, I see.
Apologize, I didn't clarify speaker notes as probably clear as I should have. Sorry about that.
No problem. Well, John, you're welcome to come up here and answer this. If you have thoughts on it. In the meantime,
Yeah, Willie, if you want to go ahead in the meantime, go for it. And
Yeah, sure.
Crypto Meg, as she came up, she can also speak.
Cool. Yeah, what possible high-level concerns can you see affecting the DAO moving forward? I think the main challenges really for any DAO, I think really it all comes down to coordination. And it does seem like this is kind of one of the main things that never was you're stepping up to try and improve. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, the DAO, it sounds fancy. It sounds, very futuristic, but it all comes down to people at the end of the day, which includes all of you guys, this community that's here, and definitely the core contributors, the full-time workstream contributors, and the ability for all these different work streams to coordinate with each other effectively to get stuff done and to execute. I think as long as we can do that well, as long as we can coordinate well, make sure that we're on the same page, we're communicating, we're all rowing in the same direction, then I'm actually really bullish and optimistic that we're gonna crush it. But if we can't do that, then yeah, that would definitely be a cause for concern.
Thank you, Willie. Crypto Meg, if you wanna.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. This is a good exercise in general too for everybody who's listening if they answer this themselves. But I went ahead and wrote it in the stage chat too, that I think another big high level issue is just we're one of the first of its kind as a centralized company moving to a decentralized company. But I think you can even add all the traditional, let's say, starting from scratch DAOs, where it's just really hard to comprehend if you're an outsider. So we're going to be marketing this to a crypto community, and quite frankly, not everybody in the crypto community knows what a DAO is, what DeFi even is. A lot of people are still just getting revved up and starting to understand that there's more things than Bitcoin. So I think just being able to be understood in this environment is going to be such a big challenge. And I guess my brain went to this because I am working with customers on a regular basis. So a lot of it is the consumer, and a lot of it's very confusing. And I know when I try to explain to my family what's happening with my job, I just get glazed over looks in their eyes. A few of them have dug deep with me to truly understand it. But I think finding a way to explain this and distill it for the common person that isn't a total savvy DeFi nerd, I think that's going to be a huge win if we come up with something like that. And definitely looking towards like the marketing and growth community and the community where they're going to source some ideas from to come up with a really great way to communicate how we're doing this in an easy to understand way.
Definitely. Great response there, CryptoMeg. And I have appreciated all your responses up to this point, even with your proposals. Logic Tech, I see you jumped up. And also, I would like to invite one other person that's more community involved, but has been getting a lot more involved with, I see, the work streams and stuff as Chris Troutner, if you would be kind enough to jump up on stage and share your thoughts. If you don't want to, I understand. But go ahead, Logitech.
Can I ask a question? Is there any chance that you guys will start NFTs, as everyone from crypto is starting to post out NFTs, and it's a really good way to start making profit from that angle, if that's something you guys are interested in?
This is really a call focused on that aspect, but definitely the community. This would reflect on what community choices are, and if the community chooses to, go in that direction, which I believe there's been quite some interest in regards to that, NFTs and so forth. I'm sure they will definitely take the steps to make that happen and put it in place. So appreciate the question. And I do see that there will be movement on that probably within the community. Chris, I saw you had your hand raised, but I apologize. I don't know if I have the power to invite people up. Let me try. Maybe I do. Sorry about that. I didn't even try. Let me see if I can invite Chris up. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Okay. I believe I invited you, Chris, if you accept that. Appreciate it. I know sometimes the mic can be tricky, so I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can jump up here. There we go.
Yeah, thanks. Never was. My concern is the technical side of things. I'm really focused on that. My experience around DAOs is extremely limited with it, and so I don't want to color the. I just don't really have any opinion in terms of how things should shape up or how things are going. I'm excited to see that the community is coming together organically, but like I said, my primary concern is on the technical side of things. So I try to stay within my realm of expertise.
Understood. I did see, though, a comment in the forum that you had left regarding, and it's not really outside of what you're saying, more so with entrepreneurship and, setting yourself up for living expenses. And if you are, choosing to have this as a primary income source, to how you can plan for that and address the volatility and other aspects of dealing with this type of income source.
Sure, yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. My experience with the crypto space is that it's brutal. It's very, very brutal, and so I think that's one of the growing pains that this community and every DAO is going to have to go through, is when we go through the next bear market, which we will. That's really going to show people's staying power. So that forum post was really just to communicate the things that I've had to do to be effective in staying in the community. What happens to a lot of people is, in a bear market, they are forced to leave the crypto space and get normal jobs. And then, if they're really dedicated, they'll come back. But there's no shame in that. It happens to everyone. Yeah, it's a brutal space, and so I'm glad that we're in a safe, economically stable period right now where we can come together and form a group. But there are dark days ahead, and we will go through them. And the thing that I always come back to is the tech. That's why I'm focused on decentralized tech that anybody can run, because when the money runs out of the industry, a lot of these nice services that we have now will go away. And so that's when the real people who put more emphasis on decentralization and self-sufficiency, that's their time to shine. And that's when the building really happens. And so I actually look forward to bear markets for that reason.
Definitely. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate your time. John, sorry, I don't have the power to invite you up because I think you're an admin, but Tyler or Crypto Meg, I don't know if you have the power to. Can you bring him up on stage, please?
I think what that's saying is that he has been invited up to speak.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So
inviting him to speak, and yeah, it's not.
okay, no problem. He might not be able to listen in at this point, so I understand.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and move on and to the next section, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for speaking. We can definitely talk about it more at the end of the call. I'll try to have some time. I just want to keep moving along. I know everyone's time is valuable, and I tend to hog a lot of it. So, next slide, if you choose to go to, is going to show you the ShapeShift current organizational structure that I'm sure many people spent some time and hours on thinking of and coming up with. If you want to look at that while I'm talking about this other section that I promised you guys could have your pitchforks and rotten fruit and vegetables, I will go ahead and read this while you're taking a look at that and familiarizing yourself a little bit with the ShapeShift current organizational structure. So one thing that I would like to share as a caution, or something that just to bring to the forefront, is if it's your job, the important thing is to ensure funds are in the treasury so that you can continue to get paid and have a job, obviously. This can be seen as evidence of the very large and strong push to have as many income streams as possible and as fast as possible within this DAO. Won't dispute. Yes, of course, it is very important to ensure the DAO treasury is sustainable and even that it can continue to grow. But when you set up consistent reoccurring resource drains, the instinct can be to just look to plug and match those outflows with inflows. I'm not even approaching the topic of downward pressure and its multiplying effects that have been brought up by a few community members in some other areas and conversations. It is debatable, but I see the initial funding and the continuing stream that is set up to go over a period of time. I believe it's 3 years. I could be wrong. As a sufficient starting point for the Treasury, and to take time and to work on getting a solid foundation in place. I'm not so inclined to add just for the sake of addition. Accountability, function, and focus should take precedence over speed, comfort, and reward. I know this might not be a highlight for a lot of people, and I understand that. I do see a few deliberate functions put in place before the transition to help work to address this, but I'm not so sure that they're all being utilized as intended. And obviously, these come into some factors like income streams, and obviously, putting in the DAO treasury income that will continue to go be unlocked over time. These were things that other people saw foresight in and put it in specifically to try to help address, I think, the issues of trying to grow so fast and so quickly that it will lead to huge drains on the ShapeShift treasury going forward. And I just, it's just a cautionary tale. And the other aspect that I'm sure is not the most popular that I would bring up is obviously the governance process. I already mentioned it and brought it up during the beginning little summary that I gave, but it can be said, and it's not anything but the truth, that there is a core group of controlling interests that do at this point control the DAO and the DAO's direction. There's nothing wrong with that. Every DAO is like that. It's understandable. This is coming even more so in this instance where it's coming from an established company that's transitioning. Obviously, everyone wants that company to succeed. and they want to help ensure that as much as possible. So I would not ever think that that would not be the case, but I feel that it's just not going to happen organically on its own, that without being addressed, that these issues have to have some type of, I don't even want to say guidance, but at least some kind of interaction and foresight and direct process and stuff that I know that some people are already working towards. So I will move past that and go to the organization of the DAO. So if you guys have been looking at that diagram, you'll see this is very much still a top-down traditional manager style structure. It is stated below the diagram that this is used as a starting point, which we all need, with the hope of improving it. This work stream is being proposed directly to assist in that call to action. So I don't feel that there's a direct need for pitchforks here at this point, because I can understand why the structure was chosen. Additionally, it is the most familiar and acceptable to the current centralized ShapeShift members. It basically cuts out the executive branch and board members of the old structure and then plugs in Fox token holders and the ShapeShift DAO in place of the previous constituting controlling level. It then moves to departmental segments, management, leaders, and their teams. And then you have the community members who would like to participate. And you have offshoots like the partnerships and stuff, which are going to be very important going forward in this endeavor. If you go to the next slide.
Sorry, Never Was. I don't want to interrupt, but I do want. Maybe we can come back to it at the end. But I mean, we do want to make it clear that there are no managers in our current structure. You're right. Correct. That we've replaced the board and the executives with DAO. But then these work streams, a work stream leader is not a manager. You're right. It's their responsibility to get their work stream funded and to ensure people get paid. But if you look at their actual power, they don't have any special powers that the contributors to the work stream don't have. I guess right now they have the ability to force these payments, but that is intended to go away as soon as we're comfortable with Colony. So just wanted to clarify that.
No, I do definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely appreciate the input and thank you for jumping in there so it didn't get lost in thought by the end. No problem. So if you go to the next slide, you will see something that I will talk about briefly. And by no means is this anything other than myself brainstorming. So I can tell you how this happened. I had mentioned to a community member about having a different thought approach of the DAO's organizational chart, and I described it as a boundless framework. The member asked for an example, so I put this visual chart together fairly quickly. And this is a very early stage, if any stage, of a concept that I can see offering alternatives. I understand that it's not comprehensive at the moment. I didn't intend it to be, so I'll talk a little bit about it. But this, like I said, came from a conversation with someone who was basically asking for examples. And being this is very new to everyone and the DAO itself, this DAO and DAOs in general, I don't believe there are many examples out there. I know we had some calls with some vendors and stuff, but this deals directly with the overall DAO. So I will talk a little bit about it. If people are looking at it, they can follow along. So let's see, short explanation. Hierarchy is modular and includes the layers of the DAO. Resources can be placed within different defined functions or included within multiple. The all-encompassing encompassing layer is the ShapeShift DAO itself. Then you have the individual layers of the constituting functions of the DAO, for example, decentralized, autonomous, and organization. Some functions can exist outside some of the layers, but still provide utility. And then you have certain functions reside in additional layers, such as governance. I don't see a direct need to define each individual work stream beyond the overall layer in defined function of what a work stream is. So if you look at it, it's very simple, I think, for the most part. Maybe some people have questions at the end. Basically, the different things that roles and tasks are defined very loosely at this point. within the different blocks of function. And then the only thing that I kind of put on the outside at this moment was the partnerships, because they would not be governed technically, or they wouldn't have access to governing or governance within the DAO. These would be established, determined, established relationships, and would provide a function that the DAO determined valuable and as an asset. And one other quick note, I put the blockchain nodes in there. Just basically, I know it can fall within, other things, but I just put it there just for kind of like a visual to see that, there are different types of resources that the DAO has control over besides members and stuff like that. So I put blockchain nodes in there to function as, kind of doing some of the things we like, crypto decentralization and treasury income. So that's that, and definitely can come back to that if anyone chooses to bring it up later on, if there's time. And then I'll move to the next slide, which is how does this pertain to this work stream, which is I'm sure a lot of people are thinking. And within here, there'll be a couple sections, differentiation of process and how. So I'll talk about differentiation of process. I think people, let me do it in the first part here. I'll do a little quick here. How does this pertain to this work stream? This is to help illustrate why and how I see a work stream function within the DAO organization. I'm not saying that's the only way or even the best way, just one pathway I'm willing to share. So please, everyone, I'm not doing anything other than making suggestions, hopefully helpful. So here, differentiation of process. I think people are thinking of in terms of a work stream's purpose, to the most part, is to produce widget X by using process Y and hand that off to Z to accomplish. It's a fairly traditional linear process. I'm looking at a different type of flow. The DAO is looking to do X. The work stream ensures that the ability to build Y is effective and efficient, and if needed, have the best available Z to do the work. So it's a little different in concept, not totally. A workstream organizes and ensures that the resource for a determined goal or goals or tasks can be and are accomplished in an effective and accountable manner. I also see others have stated that purpose of the workstream is to rely less over time on long-term roles and more on effective and efficient process and the ability of the DAO. This I've heard from quite a few people in quite a few members in the DAO community, and is very much appreciated when I do hear the thoughts of finding ways to move forward. And this obviously can be a very large goal for everyone. Understanding that this takes different effort and ability and will take on different forms and capacity. This isn't a one size fits all. Everyone will approach this differently, and every work stream and every member will probably approach this differently. The concept that work streams shouldn't look for more things to do, but more effective tasks. This is something I believe highly in. I don't think that people should be moving in a direction that can be harmful to future aspects of a DAO. So moving away from focus on how many things, size, budget, and responsibility one has, to how well it can be done with the most effective resource use and the highest value to the DAO itself. So I have a little bit of a different take on that stuff. This work stream provides resource and a pathway of transition, working to build ability. So this is stated in, and obviously the goals and the mission statement of proposal itself, but I do want to repeat that because I think sometimes it gets lost in all the other noise. How? So let me explain a little bit of how I think it's so how. Well, I'm sure it's different for each individual and role, but through communication, working together, a willingness to change, and open to to the challenge, it's very capable. So this doesn't say specifics at this point, but I will get more into that on the questions that people were asking. And I'm sure everyone asked, well, will this work for every individual? Probably not. It depends on how much they want it and are willing to put the effort in. This works in any job, in any responsibility, in anything in life. So this is not a one size fits all. One other quick thing I want to touch on is fiscal responsibility. I know there's been some conversation on this. I feel a little bit differently as it pertains to this work stream that I proposed. Besides the startup costs, what other funding would be paid before any work is done? I've tried to present a way that accountability is very highly intuitively built into the structure itself. And I know there was a lot of questions about that. I haven't seen any work streams as of yet propose anything like this. And this is something I see that's more in line with the DAO's ability to present accountability and direct actionable budgeting, funding, and ROI. I know that a lot of other people have opinions on ROI being more of a tangible and stuff like that. So I know this could be debatable with some members. Okay, so next slide would be what is the point of this work stream? And I will then go to the first bullet point, which is to restate the mission. Everyone can read along if they choose, but as I stated, the workstream's mission statement is to proactively work to prevent barriers of access across all organizational functions, building pathways to greater communication access, providing resources and ability to the whole DAO while developing adaptive efficiencies and procedures. This workstream will act as an impartial mediation toolset for all represented DAO interests, developed to provide insight, support, and functionality to all DAO parties, including workstreams, community members, and the ShapeShift Foundation. Building community bonds, bridge organizational capability, strengthens ties to fellow members, function, and adaptation, and the stated DAO ethos. Next slide would be the workstream goals, which follow along in great synergy to that. I'll read that quickly as well, go through as quick as I can. Apologize, people who are getting tired already. Let's see, so uphold and help maintain the interest of the established and documented ethos of the DAO. Second, work to decentralize organization, integrate members, and focus on organizational health. Work in conjunction to help reduce frictions, assist in assimilations, transitioning, and bridge communication between DAO members and units that make up the complete community. And I did put an initial focus here on 3 unifying community groups: the Genesis Fox DAO, ShapeShift Foundation, and the ShapeShift DAO entity itself. Or DAO entry, sorry. Members that are coming in that wish to participate more. Fourth item is provide transparency into the ShapeShift DAO work streams and foundation activities, offering documentation and know-how on budgeting, process, procedure, tool sets, and systems. Fifth, strengthen the ability of the ShapeShift DAO to help better ensure community resolve, address the unknown, and adapt to persistent and varying change, while still working to address and maintain the future health of the ShapeShift community. Okay, lots of stuff in there, guys. I'm sure this is where a lot of the questions came into. If you guys want to go to the next slide, it's frequent questions. You'll see the questions there that I received from some of the community members and worked to help address and wanted to include here to speak about a little bit further. So I will start on here for everyone. So what about work stream overlap? Big question, heard it pretty frequently. I think others might hear it as well. The negative connotation or concept of overlap of defined domain is a causation for problems. Overlap can be designated for different functions. Examples can be for additional support, safety net, a means to build a stronger relationship or stronger relationships, an additional resource, a means to increase capacity. Now, this is something I agree on. If it's meant as a duplication of resource or a waste of resources, that is a problem. If this is the case, I don't see a milestone being able to make a past statement of work, how I define them and put them in. and therefore not a cause for concern. These first milestones are just suggestions. That is why it is open discussion. I only use these as templates and as a possible starting point in the building block number 1 statement of work. I've said from day one that I wasn't saying that this is what has to happen. The DAO is in control of what the concerns are and determine goals are of any statement of work that this work stream would look to present. I just used this as a template and a starting point. I saw, and I'll talk about that more, some reasons for this. So further on, I'm sure you'll get a better understanding of why I chose those things to start with. And it definitely was not an intention of trying to encroach or take from anyone else's perceived domain. Next question would be, what if someone tells you what to do and doesn't know what they're talking about? Interesting question, but I don't see any place where I have stated that this work stream is telling people what to do. Finding pathways together and offering that pathway as a possibility is not telling them that they have to do it. Offering information to assist with informed decisions isn't making anyone do one thing or the other. This work stream does not run or attempt to run any other work stream. It is proposing to find effective ways of working together and with other members to build channels of communication to assist in determining possibility and capability. In this Why Me section, in the Why Me section further down, I will address that a little bit further when I talk about a little bit more, maybe about my background and what I believe I bring to the DAO at this point. So bear with me for a little bit longer on that. Here's a statement or observation that I have heard mentioned. This is an oversight work stream. Okay. While this work stream can work to provide a sense of balance, it is not unidirectional or appointed for the use of just a single side. This isn't meant to limit or place boundaries on the community. The opposite, it looks to find pathways to unlocking perceived limits and supplement ability and capability. This balance is provided to all of the DAO and intended to keep a healthy balance to ensure continued strength and adaptability going forward. I in no way see this as anything that is an oversight or something that is looking to control any other aspect of the DAO other than what the DAO community chooses to do, as I'm sure most work streams and most users see. Seems like a blueprint or template. It's another statement that I heard. A work stream's best practices are how our work streams operate and develop efficiently. This was very intentional as an offering and an idea. Some might say, okay, so we have this, nothing too difficult. Why don't we just use this going forward as an optional template? I would simply reply that is fine. Go for it. In some cases, this can work fairly simple enough. But I can also say from experience and knowledge that this can exponentially multiply in complexity and difficulty if applied incorrectly or without proper guidance and approach. Skill is learned and earned, not copied and pasted. And would you want to be following a template under real world pressures and dealing in extremes or unique situations? This is people's money and incomes and somewhat livelihoods. So we do have to play caution there. I'm offering the template, but more importantly, myself and the willingness to use the ability to work together to identify and build the pathways that can get us all to the determined goals of the DAO. So that's how I see that aspect. Another statement was, this doesn't feel like a work stream. That may be. Is that a perception because it is more or less than what we currently define work stream as? I already went through my definition of what I see work streams being. I'm willing to, excuse me. I am working within the currently defined structure of the DAO. The current structure for reoccurring and continuing task identification and completion is set up as a conduit for establishing workflow and ensuring the quality and efficiency of such work is done through currently the work streams. So this is what I proposed, a work stream. because I see this is where things go to be accomplished in the DAO. So another question that I heard somewhat frequently is, what is the situation where we would like stop everything and say, let's get the unification workstream involved? So I saw a few questions that can be used as examples, but for one of the examples, I'll use a community member. For one example, I'll use a community member that needs a process or wants to understand how multiple work streams can work together and with a member to accomplish a task. This work stream can work together with the parties to build an effective and recreatable process for this and future seamless interaction. Also, on the other side, work streams also may need to build processes or different interactions. For different interactions. The proposal forum post had such a reply. If anyone had had the chance to read it, I believe it was Crypto Meg actually that had asked the question in regards to support. Stated goal is to build effective communication channels, empower and enable the whole DAO community. This comes in many forms and needs, and is able to bring determined resource together to accomplish a determined goal. So I see it working in many situations. That's basically my answer to that. Sorry. What are the general responsibilities and deliverables? So first I'll say something that I believe has been echoed in a call earlier today. Become more and being less. Second thing, unburden work streams. Offload task and focus on task decentralization. So I see work streams, this work stream offering the ability to off-burden work stream task and offload some of the focus and help in their ability. Third thing, lead through example, offering defined process, set goals, and built-in accountability. This goes back to the template aspect where I see providing tool sets that allow people to see a pathway. The deliverables for this work stream are a little different, where you might have work streams with deliverables of an image, a video, a product line, a marketing campaign, or an update to a piece of code. The deliverables for this work stream are focused on intangibles like increasing ability, capacity, efficiency, and building support systems for the DAO organization itself. These are still accomplished through detailed structure and determined process. While this workstream chooses to utilize statement of work as that function, others may term this as roadmaps or some other function that is very commonplace in business, traditional businesses. So, all right, guys, one more chance to go grab those pitchforks and rotten produce to get ready to throw at me. This is my thoughts on this. As I stated, I see the opportunity for work streams to unburden themselves from unnecessary tasks. Through well-defined roles and determined tasks, this can be accomplished without looking to pick on any one work stream in particular. So I'll just state a normal traditional department. I'll say marketing. Marketing focuses, so the point is marketing focuses on just that, marketing. Not job creation, not data and material siloing, maybe not even the delivery system itself. Looking to offload as much administration and repetitive tasks as possible. Just a pure focus on promoting and selling products and service. Maybe this would include roles like social media, tasked with that medium. This isn't to say that multiple defined roles and tasks can't be within a work stream. This is just to say that the focus, I believe, should be on the exact task at hand and not on worrying about other tasks. This would go for all of the work streams in some fashion or another. Each would have subtle nuance to what and how this could be accomplished, and in turn would rely on others' support and process being created. It's not something that happens overnight, snap of fingers. This has to be something that is looked at, developed, designed, implemented, and followed. So it's not a quick fix here. This is where this workstream would play a role. defining the pathways to the determined needs, in this case, a work stream's desire to focus on tasks and unburden themselves. This does not mean that a work stream would not be involved or represented. It would, of course. Their expertise, what they bring to the table, their knowledge, is the very important piece that has to be had. But in conjunction with additional support systems, this would be used to allow for less minutia and greater flexibility and capability. So I'm saying that, you know, the DAO would come together with the help of obviously this work stream and work with the work streams in finding and determining, you know, these pathways together. I see that working together as a DAO, we can remove traditional limitations and go beyond defined departmental structures. Work streams are basically streams of work or task. So why limit it by amount or function? So I don't just see, you know, 5 work streams or 7 work streams. I see work streams can be set up, deployed and torn down as needed and determined by the DAO. I see work streams having very defined tasks and roles, but those roles are utilized and then maybe they're not utilized any further, so they don't have long-term lifespans, or they don't need to if it's not necessary. Okay, sorry. So some pitchforks there, I can imagine. Why the proposed milestones? I chose these milestones in part of the initial building blocks and to help illustrate how task and role determination becomes an increasingly important when looking to find ways to empower and remove repetitive and inefficient tasks to alternate resource. The community chooses the goals, not the work stream. The work stream documents, presents pathways, and oversees the execution of these goals. This is the first statement of work. And as a template of sorts, I took up some of the building blocks #1 milestones as examples, and to get the process started with a determined foundation of sorts. This wouldn't be the intent going forward, and even now, the proposed milestones can be adapted. This isn't voted on as yet. If people don't see a need for one of the milestones that are listed in there, there's no need for it to be in there. I'm not saying that this is what has to be passed. Sorry. We should strive to make it as straightforward and compelling as we can for community members to step up and contribute. And I've heard a lot of people working towards this goal. For this to happen, defined roles need to be established and documented. People outside of the Genesis team may not understand or even know how a role is translated, what tasks are accomplished. How do you go about achieving this? Tools, processes, desired experiences. These are all things that obviously people who've worked together understand and know, and people that work in similar fields would probably have a general understanding. But then again, every team has their uniqueness. They have their tools that they prefer. They have their interactions they prefer. They have their process that they have worked on. I've heard some people say that they've honed for 10, 20 years sometimes. This has to be understood. This has to be documented. This has to be able to be seen. And I had stated previously, something I believe in wholeheartedly. If you are secure in your ability and value add, uplifting others isn't a problem. So I'm not saying that people are, giving up secrets and how it's done and giving up their leverage to be able to have a value to the DAO. I don't really see that as part of this, and some may disagree. Okay, so excuse me. This, I'm sure, is redundant to the Genesis team members who have worked with each other for extended period of time, but this shouldn't be confined or limited to a small select group.
Hey, never was. We got
Go
a
ahead.
couple minutes left in this call, and then there is another community call scheduled after this. So
Oh,
you
there
could-
was? I'm sorry.
I
I
think
didn't
it's
see that.
another. It's not in the stage, I believe. So I think you could continue this going, keeping this going if you wanted to. We just wanted to give you that time warning and make sure.
Okay.
I know big intention for this call was to get feedback from the community and give them the chance to ask questions. And just want to let you know we're running out of time for that, and may even just need to schedule another call because I think there are a lot of questions around this, and I think it'd still be good to have that discussion with the community. Whereas this ended up being a good presentation, but more of a presentation as opposed to a community conversation.
Well, yeah, I was leaving the end part, and I apologize. I ran late on time, as I said. Talked too much. Okay, Willie. Understood. Let's see. I have a couple of sections. Maybe I run through real quickly what I believe I can offer the DAO. Maybe give people a little bit of understanding of why I'm talking all this stuff. Let me just stay here real quick. I'm not trying to make any boastful statements about my individual self. Let's see, in case people need a little bit more background knowledge, interaction. So what I see as a value add to DAO community, the ability to offer pathways towards change management, leadership, and transformation, strategic vision, insight and process, capability and capacity resolution and identification, building through process, communication, bridge building, and directed channel creation. I have over 22 years in technology, 16 years as either an entrepreneur or highest level executive leadership roles. For anyone that really cares, I'm 45, so I might sound young, but I am not young. I did want to touch, and I'll leave this for anyone who chooses to stay on, about the community governance spreadsheet. I did want to touch on that. It was brought up from another call the other day, but I know, Willie, you have to go, but I'll open up now for anyone who wants to ask questions to the community. Sorry, I haven't been following along the stage chat, so might be some questions in there. Tyler, if you're still here, can you help raise people's hands or maybe bring up some questions so I can answer if you were scanning that? Maybe not. See, John.
Tyler has to go run that next meeting.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
No problem. I see, John, you were asking if this could be incorporated into operations. And he still has some confusion to what this work stream would deliver on a day-to-day basis. What it would deliver is exactly would be outlined in the statement of work and within the work streams, within the milestones themselves. This is determined by the DAO and would be laid out an action plan and would be given very thoroughly as the results of that. And payment budgeting would not be approved unless it was passed unless it was accomplished. Okay, so I don't want to keep everyone from their next meeting. I wasn't aware of that. I apologize to those who can't stay on. If anyone would like to stay on, I will make the time. I have no problem with that. There's obviously some stuff I didn't go through and I kind of skipped through. So anyone that wants to ask a question or raise their hand and stick around and I see. Let me see if I can bring up the people who have their hands up right now. 1 second.
I hopped up, Marley. Yeah, I've been following your proposal and was kind of excited about it at first. I do see the need for something like my first comment was it's kind of like people ops where it's kind of organizational structure stuff. I don't support this. I still don't understand what's going on after over an hour. It's still too high level, and I really appreciate your passion, and I'm so excited to see community members stepping up like this. And so something I dropped in there was I would love to see you be brought on as a workstream member or something, because you write amazing scope of work documents and documentation. And so I think we could definitely use those skills for organizing and documenting, but I just don't think that was my 2 cents, I guess.
Thanks, Marley. Appreciate the thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And I understand that this kind of may seem broad in everyone's scope. Everyone is thinking, I believe, and I could be incorrect, more on the lines of traditional linear process, and this kind of supersedes this and goes over that, and that can obviously lead to confusion or not understanding why it would be necessary, and look to fold it into an existing structure. So I understand. Boy. Gamer boy, did you have anything to say?
I'm gonna kick them. Actually, they're not a member and kind of like a 12-year-old troll. Sorry.
No worries. We've been getting a little bit of that today, so
Totally.
I understand. Crypto Meg, you're still on stage. I don't know if you had anything else to say. Anyone else from the community that's still here that would like to make a statement, feel free. I understand people's concerns that this is broad in scope. I did address some of that in things, so I'm not sure if I think Willie and the other members may have had to jump off. So I will try to go back from where I left off and continue if it helps anyone. After though, like I said, an hour, I don't know how much this is helping everyone. So I will just continue and see what I can do for everyone here. So next question was actually, what's with the broad scope? So in making yourself limitless, I can see interactions and cooperation throughout the entire DAO, work streams, foundation, community members, and partners. Everyone should work with the intentions of maximizing flexibility and build in adaptability. An ability to adapt. This doesn't mean to start. This doesn't mean to overstretch yourself, ignoring capacity or the intent to lose focus on the determined task at hand. So part of the question was, how can this not just fit into an ops or a different work stream? So my point is that I'm looking to help, all the work streams do more through less, to remove limitations, but to build in the ability to do more. So I'm not saying that, one of the existing work streams can't do this. I'm just saying if you're going to work on a broader scale with the whole organization, you can't do that through just sorry, I got another person that's trying to jump up here. Through just an individual work stream. I see this being a bigger organizational push, and I know that the thought process has been so far that the operations work stream is basically the organizational structure of the DAO itself. I see that. I understand where that's coming from, but at the same time, I do see that as more of a traditional structure, and I'm not looking to overload or overtask one individual work stream or make one work stream overly capable versus others. So I'm like I said, I'm trying to find a balance here, and the balance has to be throughout the whole DAO, and not just for one work stream or a couple work streams. So I don't know if that helps, but that's kind of my thoughts on that. And now I'll try to go back into what do I believe I can offer the DAO, which I kind of went through very quickly. So I'll read it back over for the dwindling crowd that's here, because I know other people have other things to do. Like I said, I'm not coming into this as someone who hasn't had very high level interaction with many businesses and organizations and different structures of organizations, from franchise organizations to traditional single proprietor organizations to public organizations to many others. So I do have a pretty good understanding of what organizations can do to transition and adapt to change. So last thing I want to go over really, guys, is what about community governance? What about the community governance spreadsheet? Like I said, this was brought up in another work stream, the globalization and unification work stream. So I hope at this point community understands or will now that this work stream does not look to control, maintain, or silo data. The beginning milestones are for collection and identification of resources. Once this is achieved, it is handed over to the DAO, and whatever determined platform then has a task to maintain and protect that data. I know that there has been a good amount of conversation and concern of overlap, and somehow a concept of taking resources from others rather than adding resources. This was offered to unburden other work streams and focus on more pertinent tasks. These milestones will allow process to flow in a reduced impact in cooperation with each work stream. Why would each individual work stream want to or limit available resources in their own work stream when they can increase capacity through communication and outsource? This can be applied for a number of tasks I now see and hear work streams looking to address. Effective process should be a goal. If this is truly determined and it works to be in the best interest of the DAO, just DAO it. It looks to be acutely. Let's be acutely aware of the differences of completion and quantity versus quality and efficiency. Not falling into the habit of past responsibility versus a new opportunity to refocus roles and better define tasks when and where possible. For myself, I only look on that specific task, which I'm now talking directly about the governance tab, the governance spreadsheet. I was only looking for that specific task of putting together and maintaining the governance spreadsheet because of an immediate and determined need. Accepting a task, I never once thought that I need this task or that this task defines me in any way. I could have it automated with API pulls and data aggregation, but upon learning of others' interest and intent, this intent of this determined need can now be tasked to a resource that can effectively accomplish the determined goals. I personally would like to see this task and process be successful, but at the same time, I would continue to provide until this can be accomplished if deemed by the DAO. Me not being necessary in that factor. Like I said, took up a task that was a determined need and did it. I don't claim any need for that document. I know LPX has expressed his interest in automating it and doing this adding resource to it. I'm all for that. If once it's determined to be the best interest of the DAO. So, all right, everyone. If you guys want some questions, I'll just wrap it up and say whether it went over people's head or I wasn't able to get the points across. I believe I've been very open and shown a willingness to share observations, plausible concerns, and even pathways, even if not always accepted as a possible problem. I definitely have ideas and thoughts and feel that there's a greater need to discuss and gain a shared understanding of others and common goals before realizable pathways can be realistically determined. So I'm over time, but I will open it up. I don't think anyone had any questions when I asked last time, so maybe there is no one that has any further questions. But if you want to, go ahead. I see a statement by the Smith that I'm afraid this proposal will centralize things and not decentralize. So I really don't see how centralizing comes a factor in here. There has to be organization. DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. There has to be organization. You cannot bring all these people together, ideas, intentions, and thoughts without having some sort of structure, whether that's through process or however it is determined. But I do not see how that is centralizing things. That's basically giving a type of framework that allows for things to be accomplished. And this work stream is definitely looking to be a part of that framework. Mr. Gray Machine said, I think your overall approach to problem solving is just very broad in scope and high level. I feel people are looking for specifics, and after listening and reading, okay. So I understand that thought process, but I am very much so approaching it as very high level. I'm approaching it as a organizational level. These are challenges to the organization. I'll quickly go into a quick example. The governance. So I know everyone probably has this understanding. I will illustrate it a little bit further. But so yes, there were 2 drops, large drops of Fox token to help decentralize the community and get the Fox token out there. This works for bringing people in to the project, but a 400 Fox token in no way is going to change a vote or the voting structure or the governance process. The governance process is run by a core group of people. This is very much so, like I said, by design, and I understand why. But this core group of people is the ShapeShift Genesis members, and it has to be at this point because they're safeguarding their IP. They're opening it up to the world, but at the same time, they're not going to allow that to be destroyed. I wouldn't expect that. But this doesn't change if everyone who is basically on a work stream with reoccurring incomes in Fox token or whatever continues to be these same members. This only multiplies that effect. You have people that can continue to build up their resource of Fox token voting power in this case, and therefore will continue to have this core group of very powerful DAO members that will steer and control the community. This may very well be the purpose, and that's fine, like I said. But if you want to address that, then there are larger issues at hand that have to be addressed. Work streams have to be addressed with how these roles are defined and tasked. Opportunity has to present itself. There has to be certain things put in place to help with the governance, to keep the community involved, to keep people wanting to continue to vote. It may just be like a lot of DAOs that people just, the core group votes on the interests and drives it. And, the rest of the community wanes off over time because they don't see any of their ability to really affect that, because unless they buy hundreds of thousands of Fox tokens, millions in some case, they're not going to have the voice that everyone's thinking. I mean, yes, you could band together 1,000 smaller members and hopefully challenge a vote of a very select few of core members that have a reoccurring stream of Fox tokens that happens daily for the next 3 years, not to mention if they are also part of a work stream. So these are larger issues that I see need to be looked at. And so that's what I'm saying is an exact approach that has to be higher level. Can't be at the lower level that you are exacting that change. I mean, it's a great thought process that you could do that at a lower level, but I don't think that would really be a true possibility at this point. So that hopefully, Gray, is a somewhat an answer to your high level feel and specific to how it could help. I also gave specifics onto how this could help build process for not only work streams, but also roles and members and stuff like that to help make things be accomplished easier. So I'm pretty much done. I see Dopefish is typing. Don't know if it's related to what I was saying, so I will wait a few minutes. But let me see if I could find anyone else. No POEP, sorry. Tom Elvis. I don't have a POEP for everybody. Hunt, I agree. I know that this goal position workstream will change significantly as ShapeShift Central dissolves completely. That is exactly true. This is a very fluid and flexible workstream. It's meant to adapt and change. So I do definitely see, as new challenges appear and new problems arise, that the DAO community will decide the direction and what the needs are, determine goals and needs. Let's see. Okay. Dopefish, I'm kind of just waiting to see if you have anything else to say. Harry, I hope that I was helpful. The Smith, I hope that I helped you a little bit more. I see Willie was in line with the thinking with Marley. That it might not be needed. Oh. I write notes while multitasking and don't press enter. Okay. Okay. Gray, I'll let you have a reply here. I'm going to keep the channel open, everyone. I know there might not be that many people left in here. Well, there are a few, because I'd rather speak than type at this point. To any questions? Don't know if Seth had anything to say. Possibly not. He might be busy. John, I think, was just here. I don't think he was able to get in on the conversation other than what he put in chat. Lorax dude, have seen you around. Don't know if anyone wants to speak that's in the room that has anything to say here. Let me go back to stage chat. It was a good example. I'm not convinced. Okay. Thanks, Gray. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. I apologize. I definitely went way over the time that I expected. Could have talked a lot faster, but one of my habits is I have to slow myself down because I really do speak at a very high speed. Or sorry, think and speak at a high speed normally, but I have to usually write things to slow myself down and keep myself paced for everyone else. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. I believe if I end it, it would kill the stream. I'm not too sure. Let me see. Jankin or Hunt, which might not be here still, is how do you end the stream here? Do I just